Now at 9, the Jasper County Courthouse in Carthage is cleaning up after a frozen pipe burst. Plus, we'll hear from a Southwest Missouri school about how they determine when to declare a snow day or an AMI day.
Are you ready to have AI watch your kids? I'm Eben Brown in Miami. I'll have that story straight ahead.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Indigo Sky Casino in Wyandotte, Oklahoma notifies victims of a data breach incident. The casino says it learned about the breach on December 1st. The breach included employees' personal information, including names, driver's license numbers, social security numbers, and medical information, as well as some patron information. Indigo Sky has since taken steps to secure its systems and notify law enforcement. Operations at the Jasper County Courthouse grinded to a halt last night after a pipe burst and flooded the building. KOAM's Anthony Saviello gives us a look into the aftermath of last night's incident.
Ceiling tiles collapsed to the floor, electronics soaked beyond repair.
Got here about 8 o'clock and there was probably 2 inches of water on the floor in my office. All the electronic equipment except for my server was ruined, totally soaked, from copiers, scanners, computers, soaked.
County Collector Stephen McIntosh's office is just one that was completely destroyed by the rushing water. According to County Commissioner John Bartosh, Wednesday night was very busy for elected officials.
Down here, the water on the streets was about ankle deep. That's how much water was pumping through here. When the fire extinguisher line broke, those pumps kick on and it just starts pumping water.
The courthouse had finished renovations a few years ago, but for McIntosh, his office had just finished its own renovation last week.
Just last Friday, the final item on the punch list was done. We were done after 2.5 years, and now we're going to have to start all over.
As of now, both Bartosh and McIntosh say the main priority is to get operations back up and running.
Very disappointing, but everybody's got in a good mood. They know we're going to get back at it.
Our offices in Joplin are not being able to do anything until probably early next week. When the power gets restored, maybe late tomorrow, then the IT people come in and make sure the server is actually okay and up and going. Then we can at least function in Joplin.
Reporting in Carthage, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
As of now, the county collector and assessor's offices will remain closed until power can be restored to their server. And once done, those needing to utilize those offices will need to visit the Joplin location. Ouch. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us with a first look at weather.
Yeah, we have had 2 days in a row that we've been above freezing. Not bad for us today, still below average. 42, 25 is where we started. Average high is 45 degrees. Unfortunately, we're going back in the deep freeze. We're not there yet, but much colder air is going to be pushing in. Once again, Arctic air is going to be working in a little bit later on tonight. 32 Fort Scott, 34 Grand Lake, 33 in Carthage, but check out the cold air. It's -4 in Rapid City, 1 in Sioux Falls, it's 6 in Lincoln. All this cold air is surging back south, and it's going to be on top of us over the next couple days. Also, check out the winds. They're starting to pick up, and what that means for us is our wind chills are going to be down there. So we do have a wind chill advisory in effect until noon on Saturday. So we're going to look at the changes all coming up here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, some local schools saw students for the first time today since the winter weather hit the 4 states, and some districts used snow days. Others also took advantage of those AMI days. Now, AMI stands for Alternative Method of Instruction, which means students are studying from home. KOAM's Fernanda Silva spoke to one local school district to understand how that works.
Joplin resident Sarah Shaw had to be creative to keep her kids busy while the weather outside was frightful.
We got like a little mini cooking kit for my son. He's 7, and so he wanted to learn how to cook. So I taught him how to make eggs for the first time.
Besides working on the project she planned, her son also had to engage in school activities.
Science, reading, writing, and so we had to work on those every day. That was a little bit of a challenge.
Joplin schools, as others in the four-state area, had some AMI, alternative method of instruction, days. In Carthage, for example, students could enjoy one snow day and had 2 AMI days.
I think the concept was born during the pandemic, but I also think that just now that the technology is there for a lot of schools and that kids have the ability to learn from home.
For the Carthage School superintendent, AMI days are a way to keep students engaged.
Coming off of a Christmas break and a new semester, it's one of the reasons why we've implemented a few AMI days, is just to get kids back into the routine of being in the classroom and being academics.
For some students, a way to keep them busy.
If it's too cold outside, I don't like staying out there for very long, so it's nice to have something to come inside and do when you're not outside doing stuff.
Boyer says it all comes down to the safety of these students and these staff.
We consider our kids that are waiting at the bus stops. We consider our kids that are driving. We consider our teachers that are driving, bus drivers behind the wheel. And we also think about the kids that are at home that may not have heat or may not have meals. And so there are times after we've been out for multiple days of trying to get kids back in, because we know that that's the safest place for those kids.
Reporting in the 4 states, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Not every district in the area used AMI days. Carl Junction schools, for example, chose not to use them, and we tried reaching out to that district, but they were not available for interviews today. Missouri Southern hosted a Campus Involvement Day today. This annual event is for all registered student organizations, departments, campus clubs, or programs to promote their organizations to the student body. The event provided a way to introduce new students to new organizations. And the Joplin Public Library is showcasing the work of some Joplin High School art students. The library today opened the exhibit called Surrealism. It features drawings and paintings made by students in the surrealist style, which often features unnerving, illogical scenes.
I'm not really sure why, it just looked cool to me. And I wanted to do some sort of realism, but also make the eyes stand out. So I used color specifically on the honeycomb for that.
The pieces were judged today with the top 3 recognized. Coming up, health experts share tips on how to reduce the risk of birth defects in newborns. The city of Parsons, Kansas is warning residents about unsafe drinking water. Officials say the water system violated a drinking water standard by having high levels of haloacidic acids, which is used as a disinfectant in the water system. They say if there is not an immediate risk to the public, but if the acid is consumed over a long period of time, it can increase the risk of cancer. The city and KDHE are investigating the issue and how best to solve it. Every 4.5 minutes, a baby is born with a birth defect. That's according to the CDC. And while many will go on to lead long lives, these defects are a leading cause of death for infants in the U.S. Mandy Gaither has more on how the risk of birth defects can be reduced.
At 37 weeks, Amy DeSantis gave birth to twins. It's also the day she found out one of her babies had a heart defect requiring life-saving surgery, as well as Down syndrome, a chromosomal abnormality.
You just feel like the wind is knocked out of you. A lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, fear of the unknown. Now you don't know what your child's life is going to look like.
DeSantis' story isn't uncommon.
1 in 33 babies is born in the United States with a birth defect.
There are many causes of birth defects, including genetics, behaviors, as well as social and environmental factors. While not all defects can be prevented, some can. That's why it's critical to know your family's medical history and have healthy behaviors even before pregnancy, says Dr. Elizabeth Chareau with March of Dimes.
Things like smoking, alcohol, or other illicit drug use, we really need to curtail because those will be causes. And then getting into medications, what's safe and what's not safe in pregnancy.
Chareau says those who are pregnant should also take 400 micrograms of folic acid daily, as well as prenatal vitamins to lower risks.
if you have twins or there are other family history, there may be more that you would need.
And if you do have a baby born with a birth defect, DeSantis says help is out there. Her son, now 14, is thriving.
They may look different than they did when we were pregnant or what we originally thought, our child's lives were going to look like, but you hold on to that hope.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later 2 student athletes at Northeast High School in Arma sign their letters of intent to play the college level.
Well, of course, a little bit warmer for us today, but still below average for this time of the year. But we did get into lower 40s, which, hey, we'll definitely take. However, we're going back into the deep freeze as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. All right, looking outside, here's our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam downtown. You can see the flags. The wind has been picking up a bit. That's shoving that colder air back in place. What we've been used to, at least over the past week or so. I don't know if you ever really get used to it. It's 36 in Neosho, Bonita 32, Bentonville's 33. Iola's dropped to 26 degrees. Look at this colder air. So it's 19 Kansas City. It's dropped to 22 in Wichita. It's 6 in Lincoln, 8 Des Moines, 1 in Sioux Falls. So that Arctic air is dropping south once again, right on top of us for the next couple days. Wind chill advisory in effect due to the wind. Cold temperatures makes it feel even colder than what it actually is. So let's look at these northwesterly winds picking up. Still fairly light in Missouri, but you can see those gusts are getting 20 to 25 once you get out across southeastern Kansas. And these are going to be gusting pretty good, 30 to 35 for us tonight. They'll calm a little bit tomorrow, but still breezy. And then it stays breezy to somewhat windy all the way into Saturday morning. That's why that wind chill advisory is in effect through the middle of the day on Saturday. So by morning, look at this. Wind chills near 15 to 20 below zero, which stinks. As we go into the afternoon hours on Friday, wind chills, they still hover near zero, right back down to minus 15, minus 16 once again for us tomorrow night. So that's the reason we have the wind chill advisory. All right, a little batch of snow sneaking across central Missouri. You can see this batch rolling into Illinois. We have some flurries. That's really just about it. So not a big deal. We'll continue to see a few light little flurries kind of pushing through. Our next storm system out across the Pacific Northwest, that system will give us chances for rain, maybe a little bit of ice by the time we head into Sunday night. All right, let me walk you through time. Eventually we drop back about 8 degrees later on tonight. As we go through the morning hours for us tomorrow, mid-teens. By afternoon, we're only at about 18 to 20 for a high. Of course, those low wind chills near zero all day long. Tomorrow night, we clear out. Temperatures bottom out 4, 5, 6 degrees for overnight lows. Heading into Saturday, still that northeasterly wind. High temperatures only right around 20 once again. So it's going to be cold the next couple days. Good news is we get back to the 30s by the time Sunday rolls around. Monday, 41 showers. Rain chances just about each and every day next week, but we do warm into the 40s back where we should be for this time of the year, which is going to be nice return.
Yeah, well, 40s.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
I know.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
You bet.
Well, coming up, how the Tax Transparency Act is impacting small businesses in Southwest Missouri. A new anti-money laundering law requires small businesses to report information about ownership to the federal government. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke with a local tax specialist who says small businesses need to be aware of this new requirement.
At the start of January, the Corporate Transparency Act went into effect, meaning small businesses must report financial records to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. The purpose, to help prevent money laundering.
It would be small businesses. There are exceptions to larger corporations and a few other entities. But for the most part, if you're not already reporting to FinCEN in some way and you're a business, you should look into this and find out whether or not it applies to you.
Businesses have until January 1st of 2025 to make sure this is all filed, but if they miss the deadline, the consequences could be costly.
There are civil penalties. It's $500 a day that you're in noncompliance. There are criminal penalties, up to 2 years imprisonment and up to a $10,000 fine.
The Corporate Transparency Act was introduced in 2021 and approved in 2023. However, some small business owners might not be aware of this new requirement.
As soon as we found out that that really was going into effect with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, it hasn't really been talked about a lot. We really wanted to get it out to our members so they knew that this is a form that they're going to have to fill out. It is required.
Even new businesses created in 2024 needs to file.
With the different stipulations, when your business was incorporated, anytime after this year from January 1st of 2024, you have 90 days to fill out the paperwork, and anytime before that, you have until the end of the year.
Small business owners can file this information themselves, but the Chamber of Commerce recommends reaching out to a professional.
Not recommended to do that since this is a first time. Nobody really knows the ins and outs of this paperwork at this time.
Reporting in Jasper County, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The federal government is offering webinars and other information to help business owners navigate the new rules. We don't yet know the local impact, but Leggett & Platt is restructuring and expects to eliminate 900 to 1,100 jobs and close at least 15 facilities. The manufacturing company, headquartered in Carthage, produces components for use in bedding, furniture, seating, homes, offices, airplanes, and vehicles. Up next, if you've ever wanted to take the taste of ranch with you on the go, a new lip balm partnership could be just the thing. People will either love it or hate it. We're talking about Burt's Bees' new lip balm, which has the flavor of ranch dressing. Burt's Bees and Hidden Valley Ranch are teaming up for a whole line of lip balms featuring the flavors you'd find in a basket of chicken wings. Those flavors include Hidden Valley Ranch, buffalo sauce, crunchy celery, and fresh carrot. Interesting. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. Lawmakers appear to be close to finalizing a temporary spending bill to avoid a government shutdown. Plus, writer E. Jean Carroll takes the stand once again in her defamation case against former President Donald Trump.
4 states most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Congress rushed to pass a bill to avoid a partial government shutdown before its deadline at the end of the week. Adding to the pressure to hold a vote, severe winter weather is heading for the nation's capital tomorrow. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has the story.
2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended.
Congress took a crucial step, voting to pass a continuing resolution.
The bill is passed.
It came as lawmakers have been working late, negotiating a deal to keep government agencies open before Friday's deadline.
The Senate reached an agreement to pass a clean extension of government funding to avert a needless shutdown and give appropriators more time to finish their work.
Lawmakers pushed to finish the voting before winter weather hits D.C. on Friday.
We should stay here and do our work. But instead, people said, why can't you give the time back, Congressman Roy, so we can go catch our planes before the snowstorm gets in? I'm sorry. I think maybe we should stay here and do our job.
A significant number of votes from Democrats were needed to pass the bill over some GOP opposition.
We recognize that a partial government shutdown will hurt everyday Americans, hurt the economy, and hurt the ability of the federal government to meet the needs of the American people.
But some on the far right are still skeptical of using the temporary measure again for the third time.
Yeah, I don't believe we should fund the government through continuing resolution. I think that it departs from the expectation that things in the federal budget will get itemized review.
This is a very similar resolution passed under former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, which led to the vote to oust him from his leadership role. So far, it does not appear the same thing will happen to Speaker Mike Johnson. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Well, the campaign race in New Hampshire is shaping up to be that two-person contest Nikki Haley has been asking for with Donald Trump. Haley hopes to cut into Trump's lead despite new polling showing her down by more than a dozen points. E. Jean Carroll resumed her testimony in the multi-million-dollar defamation trial against former President Donald Trump in a New York courtroom today. Fox News correspondent C.B. Cotton has details.
Writer E. Jean Carroll took the stand again Thursday in her second multi-million-dollar civil trial against former President Donald Trump. Last year, he was found liable for sexually abusing Carroll in the 90s and for defaming her in 2022. Now, she's seeking damages for defamation in 2019 when he was president, which Trump denies.
Thank you. Thank you, E.G.
A more subdued setting Thursday with Trump not in court after Carroll explained how the former president had shattered her reputation and made her a target of his followers' threats. The defense spending a majority of time focused on how Carroll was harmed. This after a dramatic scene in the courtroom a day earlier with outbursts from Trump as Carroll was on the stand. At one point, Judge Lewis Kaplan threatening to bar Trump from the room when he was talking and making gestures during Carroll's testimony.
It's a rigged deal. It's a made-up, fabricated story. And I frankly am the one that suffered damages. I should be given money, given damages.
Trump and his legal team attempting to delay the trial until Monday while he attends his mother-in-law's funeral without much success. The former president continues to blast Kaplan, seeking for the judge to recuse himself.
And that's a nasty man. He's a nasty judge. He's a Trump-hating guy. And it's obvious to everybody in the court. It's a disgrace, frankly, what's happening. It's a disgrace.
Carroll and her attorneys are seeking at least $10 million in damages. In New York, C.B. Cotton, Fox News.
A bit later, the extreme cold and not giving up without a fight.
Tens of millions of Americans waking up to weather alerts this morning as a new storm moving out west, bringing ice and freezing temperatures. In Cleveland, I'm Nick Koser with that story.
Of course, another cold one for us today, and it's getting colder outside right now. We're going back into the deep freeze for a few days. We're still sitting just a little bit above freezing, which is nice, but Neodesha down to 28, 27 in Chanute, 25 Iola Yates Center is down to 25, so these temperatures will tumble pretty quickly. In fact, Wichita 22, 6 in Lincoln. Arctic air is rolling back down. It's 19 in Kansas City, 8 in Des Moines. So it retreated and now it's back for a couple days. Wind chill advisories are in effect for the next 2 days until about the noon hour on Saturday. And this is mainly due to the low temperatures, plus it's getting kind of windy out there. You can see our sustained winds anywhere from about 15 to 25 miles per hour right now with that colder air working in. And we're going to have gusts kind of 30 to 35 as we go through the overnight hours tonight. So that means our wind chill factors, they're going to drop. By morning, it's going to feel like to your skin minus 15 to minus 20. They rise to about 0 tomorrow afternoon, back down tomorrow night to about minus 15. So if you haven't been dripping your faucet, at least over the past day or two, make sure you drip it again as we go through the next couple days as we start to plummet once again. A lot of clouds, few little snow flurries out there, a little weak wave kind of passing by. Most of the snow, Iowa into Illinois, but we have had a few little light flurries kind of passing through, not a big deal. Our next system out across the Pacific Northwest, that system will give us rain as we go into early next week. All right, tonight, cold. Actual temperature about 8. We rise into the mid-teens for the noon hour tomorrow. We get up 19, 20-ish for an afternoon high. 18 Stockton, 19 Miami, Coffeyville, about 20 degrees. We plummet tomorrow night down to about 3, 4, 5 degrees. Saturday, not much better. Partly sunny skies, high temps, kind of 20, upwards to about 21 degrees. All right, day planner for you tomorrow or for your Friday, 9 at 9. 16 at 1, 18 by 5 p.m. We do get back into the 30s by Sunday. Clouds increase. And then Sunday night, we're going to get a little band of sleet and freezing rain. Temperatures near freezing, but should transition all over to rain as we go through the daytime hours on Monday. So rain, not snow, for Monday, Tuesday of next week. In fact, chances for rain just about each and every day next week. High temp 20 tomorrow, 23 on Saturday, 38 on Sunday. So getting better. And then 40s next week, and our average high is 45 degrees. So this puts us right back where we should be with chances for rain all of next week.
Go from bitter cold to decent temperatures with rain.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yes, we will.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
You bet.
Well, the brutal winter weather is showing no signs of slowing down, with more than half the country now covered in snow. Millions of people across the U.S. are under winter weather alerts as the next storm is starting its march across the country. Fox weather meteorologist Nick Koser has more from Cleveland.
Walked around a little bit during lunch and people were slipping all over the place.
Another wild winter storm is on the move this week, now headed west, as bitter cold temperatures from coast to coast leave more than 60 million people under winter weather alerts.
Don't go out if you don't need to. It's honestly, truly not worth it.
Freezing rain and wind pelting the Pacific Northwest and knocking out power to more than 85,000 homes and businesses in Oregon. Streets turned into ice skating rinks, along with downed trees and snapped power lines, creating dangerous travel conditions. The roads sending drivers sliding, with a 50-mile stretch from Portland to the Cascades closed. Authorities are warning it's best to stay indoors, with more and more injuries reported in ERs just from slipping on ice.
Actually lost count. Since Sunday, we've had lots of sledding accidents, lots of falling on the ice, broken bones, broken shoulders, clavicles, head injuries, lacerations on the face, lots of bumps and bruises.
Those brutal conditions already linked to more than 30 deaths nationwide, as the South also sees some rare snow and a deep freeze sets in up north. In places like Buffalo, they're expecting even more snow on top of the 3+ feet already covering the ground. The Arctic weather wreaking havoc on weather lines and pipes along the East Coast.
With water sitting in the line, once that cold water freezes, it expands, breaks the pipe.
But there is relief in sight as more moderate temperatures are expected next week. In Cleveland, I'm Nick Koser, Fox Weather.
Well, coming up in sports, it's tournament time for high school basketball teams in the 4 states. Plus, 2 classmates at Northeast High School commit to the same college. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
It's an exciting morning at Northeast High School in Arma. 2 Vikings seniors signed their letters of intent to continue their academic and athletic careers at the collegiate level. But not only that, they're going to the same school. A couple of student athletes in Southeast Kansas have signed to play at the collegiate level. Dawson Troth is heading to University of St. Mary for track and field. His classmate Braden Young also going there for football. Both athletes are hoping to grow athletically and beyond at their new school.
I, of course, want to get my degree in psychology and use that later on in life, but on the sport aspect of it, I want to attempt to make it to nationals in my, not just as a team, but in my specific events.
They really wanted to get to know me rather than get to know me as just a recruit. They were asking me personal questions and asking me like what I like to do in my free time, and it made me really feel at home.
Over to high school basketball, it's tournament time. The past couple days, we've been covering the Tony DeBray Classic in Liberal. This afternoon, the 4-state Classic at Frontenac tips off. Seneca boys hoops across state lines in Frontenac, taking on Fort Scott, who has just 1 loss on the year. Tigers land the first couple punches. Dirks Kegler hits the floater in the lane for the first points of the game. Then Cal Cousins takes a couple of dribbles inside the 3-point line. His shot makes it a 4-point lead. Seneca battles back though. A couple minutes later, still in the first quarter, Morgan Vaughn muscles this one in from down low in the post. That ties the game. Then Zane Grotjon hits the 3 from the corner. The Indians would take the lead and stretch it up to a 7-point second quarter lead. No panic from Fort Scott though. Kegler finds himself open for 3, calmly drains it. The Tigers run away with it in the second half. They win by 20, 62-42. Webb City boys basketball also in Frontenac tonight, playing the Owensville Flying Dutchmen. Starting in the first, Baron Duda has it. He steps back and nails the jumper for three. Cardinals jump out to a 20-9 lead. And check out this play. Off the steal from Baron Duda, Gabe Johnson drives it in for two. Webb leads Owensville by 9 at halftime. Start in the third, Flying Dutchman fighting back. Brady Watson passes to Chase Crosby. He sinks the three and give him one more as well. Owensville making it interesting at the end of the third. Charles Hazelwood drives and gets the last second buzzer beater three. Flying Dutchman cut the lead to just two. That's as close as they get though. Holton Keith misses the three. Duda gets his hands on it, and there's three for Webb City off the rebound. Duda finishes with 25. Cardinals go on a 17-0 run to start the fourth. Webb City survives a comeback attempt to win 73-53. Over at Pittsburgh High School, a few local teams do battle with several schools coming in from several different areas across Missouri and Kansas, like Wichita, Kansas City, and Springfield. Carthage girls basketball facing Blue Valley Northwest in the opening game of the Bill Hanson Memorial Tournament. Opening minutes, Lady Tigers get after it. Jaden Brunner knocks down the three from the corner. Later on in the quarter, her teammate Lauren Choate shoots and scores from beyond the arc. Carthage stayed hot in the first quarter. This time, Lexi Youngblood shows off her range. Tigers lead by 6 at the end of one, but Blue Valley Northwest starting to wake up. Elise Rostidier makes the layup in transition. Huskies lead by 6 at half. Second half now, Maggie Boyd puts up a three, but Blue Valley Northwest too much for the Tigers to handle. There's Rostidier beating the buzzer at the end of the third. Blue Valley Northwest goes on to beat Carthage 61-29. Carl Junction hitting the floor tonight in the opening round of the Bill Hanson Tournament. Lady Bulldogs facing Olathe North. Early in the game, Kylie Scott with a nice pass out to Anna Birch. She knocks down the jumper. CJ leading by 4. Later in the half, Kylie Scott takes over, posts up and works around the defender for 2. Next possession, Scott again driving in for the layup. Then in the second quarter, here's Scott showing off the range. Nails the 3. The Oral Roberts commit leads CJ with 20 points tonight. In the second half, Desi Williams goes into the lane, turnaround, gets the shot to fall. Lady Bulldogs up by 12. Fourth quarter now, Jaden Howard hits the jump shot. Then Carl Junction ices the game as Deshae Berge open for the bucket. CJ moves on in the winner's bracket. Carl Junction beats Olathe North 52-39. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Ultra-sensitive radar unveiled last week has the potential using AI to detect not only objects, but movement on the surface of those objects. Fox's Eben Brown explains how it works in this edition of our Fox on Tech series.
Artificial intelligence is finding its way into more corners of your life, but AI only works if it can get reliable input.
An AI algorithm, if you give it garbage, you're going to get out garbage. But if you give it good data, then you can really make the AI algorithms powerful.
Meaning it needs to be able to see, especially if we're going to use it to ensure safety. To do that, one company is turning to an older technology, radar. Asahi Kasei Micro Devices reveals a high-resolution radar using 60 gigahertz millimeter wave that it says turns AI into a babysitter.
You have so much accuracy that you can detect the movement of the surface of that object. So what that allows for is to differentiate between a living object and a non-living object.
This new radar gives AI the ability to wirelessly detect children left behind in cars within seconds. It can also tell you if your newborn crawls under a blanket or if they stop breathing. It's signaling a shift in how AI is used. The same radar input can monitor vital signs or behavioral changes indicating health issues. It can even be used in elder care, providing a way to monitor seniors without invasive cameras.
It does, basically take the next step where you can monitor things like vitals and falling and, all kinds of things without invading on anyone's privacy.
The market for this kind of radar tech was worth about $4 billion last year. They expect that to shoot up to $38 billion by the year 2030. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Well, coming up, how a Canadian man is using the extreme cold to test out some new culinary creations. A Canadian man took advantage of the recent extreme cold to create some extremely weird frozen food. You won't find these noodles on any menu. Jeannie Moose reports.
When it's 40 or 50 degrees below zero, you can't blame a guy for taking boiling water and blowing off a little steam, watching it instantly turn into snow and ice. But photographer Joe Chawanik of Alberta, Canada, got a kick out of seeing what other people did. How cold is it? Cold enough to use a banana to pound a nail. Cold enough to beat a frozen shirt like a drum. To turn jeans into a battering ram. So Joe decided to do his own game of, you froze your what off?
The next one was the plate of ramen noodles.
In 60 seconds, the boiled noodles were frozen stiff.
And frozen in time. The Frozen in Time series, I guess I'm calling it.
The next experiment involved placing an egg on a couple of straws and cracking it open. Forget hard boiled, we're talking frozen solid.
My neighbors were looking out their window and thought I was crazy.
And finally, there was something charming, make that Charmin, about what the severe cold did to toilet paper.
People should make the best of the conditions they're in.
But don't try using it or you will truly freeze your butt off. In the immortal words of Annie Lennox, cold, cold, cold.
Too cold for me. And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of hippos playing with water at the Dallas Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.